Hey everybody, and welcome to the December 12th edition of Fed News, your fake figure wrestling news. Let's get started. This week, huge amount of signings as Hillbilly Jim signed with WWF, Dr. David Schultz signed with the UWF, Road Dogg would sign with SmackDown, Curtis Axel has signed with ECW, the Junkyard Dog has signed with WCW, William Regal has signed with WCW, the Honky Tonk Man has signed with WWF, Hillbilly Jim has signed with WWF. My bad, typo. Elias has signed with ECW. Sabu has signed with ECW. Kevin Sullivan has signed with the UWF. LA Knight has returned. I realize I misspelled LA Knight as well. And Top Dollar has returned or has signed with JPW. Adam Cole has signed with SmackDown. Tony Nese has signed with SmackDown. And Sylvester Terkay has signed with TNA. So this week, a huge pay-per-view for the WWF as Razor Ramon Diesel defeated LOD to retain their tag titles. Owen Hart would defeat Bob Backlund. Shawn Michaels would defeat the British Bulldog to retain his European Championship. Man, typos galore. Hulk Hogan defeated Million Dollar Man. Mr. Perfect defeated Psycho Sid via DQ to retain the Intercontinental Championship. And Hillbilly Jim defeated Andre the Giant by DQ. Of course, this was in your house, friends turned enemies, as Ultimate Warrior defeated Bret Hart after Andre interfered to help retain the WWF World Heavyweight Championship for a future match against the Warrior. And over to WCW now as William Regal and Rick Rude, William Regal debuting, of course, would defeat Jim Duggan and Junkyard Dog. Barry Windham defeats Jake Roberts. Roddy Piper and Kevin Von Erich versus Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard ended a time limit draw. Luger, Sting, and Savage defeat Stevie Ray, Larry Zbyszko, and Michael Hayes. The main event saw Great Muta and Paul Orndorff defeat Giant and Ric Flair. Pay-per-view is scheduled for next week. On to the Raw results as The Rock and John Cena defeat Shinsuke and Seth Rollins and rivals turned partners. Bobby Lashley defeats Austin Theory in his debut. Matt Riddle and Logan Paul defeated Edge and Randy Orton in an upset. And The Miz defeats AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Dolph Ziggler for the 24/7 championship after it was vacated by Shelton Benjamin. The main event saw the bloodline of the Usos and Roman Reigns defeat Goldberg, McIntyre, and Cody Rhodes. On to SmackDown now as Matt Hardy defeats Adam Cole. Kurt Angle would defeat Scotty 2 Hotty. Billy Gunn and Ken Shamrock defeated Road Dogg and Tony Nese. And Eddie Guerrero defeated Chris Jericho. The main event saw JBL defeat The Undertaker, who debuted on SmackDown as well. Over to ECW now as Apollo Crews and Don Morocco ended a time limit draw. Sabu would defeat Elias. Zack Ryder defeats Moose, and Curtis Axel defeats Marty Jannetty in his debut. The main event saw Test defeat Shelton Benjamin. Over to AEW Collision as they had a show as well as Miro defeats Danhausen. Eddie Kingston would defeat Jake Hager. Jon Moxley defeats Kip Sabian. The main event saw Pac defeat Lance Archer. However, Dynamite would have an all-out pay-per-view as Private Party and Andrade defeated the Dark Order members of Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, and John Silver. Wheeler Yuta defeated Ricky Starks for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. Darby Allin and Dustin Rhodes defeated defeats MJF, Wardlow, and Shawn Spears. Powerhouse Hobbs would defeat Brody Lee and Samoa Joe for the TNT Championship. And the Butcher and the Blade defeat FTR for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The main event saw CM Punk defeat Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Championship. There was no show on NXT this week. However, new WCW, Santos Escobar defeated X-Pac, the Steiner Brothers defeated Street Profits, and Gunther defeats Ridge Holland. The main event saw Karrion Kross defeat Kevin Owens. Over to Velocity now as Zodiac defeats Virgil. Rikishi would defeat Greg Valentine, and the main event saw Diamond Dallas Page defeat D'Lo Brown, as D'Lo has been in talks with possibly joining SmackDown. Over on Red Impact, they had a week as Tony Mamaluke and Vito defeated Paul London and Billy Kidman. Val Venis, however, would defeat Nunzio. Nunzio, of course, vowing to bring in more members for the family of the FBI. And the main event saw Jerry Lynn defeat Snitsky. Over to Blue Impact as Perry Saturn debuts and defeats Heidenreich, and Steve Corino defeats the Sandman. The main event saw Charlie Haas defeat Sean O'Hare in an upset. No show for IWGP. However, AAA did have Luther Reigns versus Ethan Page end in a time limit draw, and Noam Dar defeats Dexter Lumis. The main event saw Mark Jindrak and Rey Dupree also end in a time limit draw. No WWE ECW this week, nor new, but Excite did have a show as Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater defeated No Way Jose and Jim Neidhart. Tucker defeated Sin Cara, And Sanity defeats Fashion Police. The main event saw Eric Young defeat Keith Lee. UCW was not in the show this week, nor was CWF. However, TNA did have a show as Magnus defeated Shark Boy and Lance Cade defeats Manic. The main event saw Jeff Jarrett defeat Sylvester Turkey in his debut. NWA had not only a show, but actually a world title match. As the Sheik defeated Terry Gordy, Mr. Fuji defeated Tony Atlas, the Killer Bees defeated Ron Bass and Abdullah the Butcher. The main event saw Bad News Brown defeat Killer Kowalski for the NWA Heavyweight Championship. He is the inaugural champion. The IWF also had a show as the Highlanders defeated Funaki and Trevor Murdoch. Rosie and Balls Mahoney defeated the Bashams, and Maven would defeat Shannon Moore. Shannon Moore, of course, was scheduled to appear at a different company. However, the contract dealings did lapse. And the main event saw Muhammad Hassan defeat Orlando Jordan. No OROH this week, nor any minor card shows took place this week as well. So we have some new champions. Bad News Brown winning the NWA Heavyweight Championship. The Miz winning the 24/7 Championship. CM Punk winning the AEW World Championship. Wheeler Yuta winning the Pure Championship, the Ring of Honor that is. Butcher and the Blade winning the AEW Tag Team Championships. Powerhouse Hobbs winning the TNT Championship. Conversely, Mr. Perfect retained his Intercontinental Championship. Razor Ramon Diesel also retained their championship. Shawn Michaels also retained his European Championship. And the Ultimate Warrior retained the championships of the WWF, retaining all their belts. No new champions crowned this week. But there's always next week as we get ready for the WCW pay-per-view coming up. And I'll see you next week.